What's going on, everyone? So there's a lot of talks about Robert Williams to the Los Angeles Lakers and that the Lakers are favorites to land Robert Williams. Did a whole video, talked about that. But Jake Weinbach presented a trade proposal in order to make it work to where the Lakers can land Robert Williams as well as appease the Portland Trailblazers, right? And I hate this trade. And we'll get into why here in a moment. Kind of want to go over it, talk about. I think this is good. Obviously, it's Jake Weinbach's personal opinion on like what the trade should look like, but this is a great example, in my opinion, of why I think it doesn't make sense to go trade for just Robert Williams, right? But getting into it, the trade idea between the Lakers and Blazers. Lakers land Robert Williams III. The Portland Trailblazers land Maxi Kleber, Dalton Knecht, and a 2032 second-round pick via the Lakers. It's unclear if Portland is currently entertaining offers, but the Lakers have reportedly inquired about Robert Williams. Now, again, I would absolutely love Robert Williams. I think if you can land him, sure, go ahead and land him. The problem is that, one, I'm not giving up Dalton Knecht and a second for a guy that you don't know if is going to play more than 20 games, right? Like, so, again, the problem with Robert Williams is he is such a risk. Like, if you had a crystal ball, right, and you could tell the future, and you were like, hey, Robert Williams is going to, like, it was just this patch in his career, he's going to go to Lakers, he's going to play 65 games next year, the threshold, right? Nothing crazy, 65 games next year, and he's going to be healthy the entirety of the playoffs. Go make that trade right now, right? Dalton Knecht, the second round pick, all of it. If you could gaze into the future, right, and see, okay, Robert Williams, we're about to have a healthy Robert Williams. He can play 20 minutes a night, and he's going to give us 65 games and be healthy come playoff time. Sign me up. Trade what you have to. Go get him because he's that impactful and that good. The problem is we don't know that. And thus, it's not worth taking the gamble on if you're going to have to give up Dalton Knecht and a second-round pick. Dalton Knecht alone is worth more than Robert Williams. Now, you might be thinking, if you're somebody that's like, Dalton Knecht's trash, absolutely not, blah, blah. Best ability is availability, right? Why is Dalton Knecht better or more valuable, I should say, is because he's a guy that you know will play. Robert Williams could be out of the league in 2 years because he can't stay healthy. At least Dalton Knecht, you have, and you can play him 70 games a season, and he's a guy that can shoot the basketball and do things out there. Robert Williams is everything that this Lakers team needs. Everything. Tough, physical, bull in a china shop, excellent rebounder, defender, can defend in space, stay in front of guys, block shots, be the help defender. I mean, the guy can do everything. Check. All for the Lakers. And he's still young enough. He'll be 28 to start next season, right? So, again, checks all the boxes for the Lakers. A much better backup than Jackson Hayes, a guy that I think really could be a difference maker for this Lakers team, if healthy. But that's the problem. You don't know. And not only is there the health, but then there's also he's a free agent. He could just leave, right? So, again, chances are he'll probably want to stick around. And the Lakers supposedly have some interest in Robert Williams because of adding Marcus Smart. And that there's the thought of like, hey, kind of pairing those two back up once again. Marcus Smart and Robert Williams have a good relationship, kind of have that built-in chemistry. But also, Marcus Smart is a guy that could, keep Robert Williams around. Like, hey, dude, stay here, stick with us type thing. And could be kind of a good to not run the risk of losing him. But it just doesn't make sense to give up Dalton Knecht plus the second. If you're doing Maxi Kleber and Dalton Knecht for Robert Williams, like, sure, just because the Lakers are a big need, but even that, right? I talked about it in the video where, Lakers are favored to land Robert Williams. Why I talked about, like, yes, the Lakers need it, and yes, at some point you do need to take some risk. At some point you need to take some gambles here, and you're not looking for Robert Williams to be a 30-minute-a-night guy. You're looking for him to come in, 15 minutes a night and just give you real impact, give you real on-court production. But again, it's still such a risk is that the best allocation of assets, giving up Dalton Knecht? I understand that there's talks about his, value dropping and all that stuff, but there's a team that needs shooting or that will like him as a young prospect that will take the gamble on him and bring him in. There's always a team that thinks that they can do better, and I'd rather the Lakers be patient in that regard. However, If you can land Robert Williams and a Matisse Thybulle now at that point, then now sign me up. If you could do, Maxi Kleber and Dalton Knecht, and then add a Gabe Vincent in order to land Matisse Thybulle, then now you're talking, because now the value outweighs itself. Now it's worth the risk. But there's still risk with Matisse Thybulle. If you had to throw in that second to get, if you could do the same package for Robert Williams that was presented, right? And only, in this case, add a Gabe Vincent, then I would do it, right? Again, Jake Weinbach's proposed was Maxi Kleber, Dalton Knecht, and a 2032 second round pick, right? I would do that package if we could throw in Gabe Vincent and land Matisse Thybulle, because now that gives you one of the better perimeter on-ball defenders in basketball that can defend 1 through 3, is shooting well. The last 3 seasons, he shot 38% from 3. Right? So gives you now a guy that can defend multiple positions and as well as hit the open 3, assuming that can maintain, but he'd be playing alongside Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves. The quality of looks that he's going to get, Matisse Thybulle, just unlike anything he's ever got. Right? So Matisse Thybulle solves a lot of needs. You add Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams to this team, and if they're healthy, that's the key though. If they're healthy, it's the problem. You're asking for a lot there. But if they're healthy, Lakers might end up being the best team in basketball at that point because they solve all their needs. Now they got an interior shot blocker, rim protector, interior defender that they can throw at teams, and they got another defensive point of attack, now legit 3-and-D wing, who both guys are young enough. And then you add in that they added a, Marcus Smart, that they added in a Jake LaRavia, they added in a Thybulle, they added in a DeAndre. And now you start looking at this team, it's like, oh wow, this Lakers team is, 10 deep, 11 deep, and has defense and shooting and scoring and all of the things that you want. Right? Now you have that better balance from a Laker team perspective to where you can justify that trade. Again, I have no issues overpaying for something if it's justified and warranted. Right? The Mark Williams trade was a bit of an overpay, but it was justified and warranted. Given the circumstance situation, you don't have a center, you need a center. Mark Williams is a guy that could be your franchise center. Yes, there's risks and all that stuff with him, but he's a guy that's young enough that Luka Doncic himself wanted, right? It made sense. Lakers land Mark Williams, and if he's healthy and ready to go, Lakers could end up winning an NBA championship. That was the idea. That was the thought. Still, kind of to this day, is kind of the idea and thought, what would have happened if they landed Mark Williams? But point is that it was justified. It was worth the overpay. Again, you could argue a second round pick with a Dalton Knecht, a Gabe Vincent, and a Maxi Kleber is a bit of an overpay, but again, you're landing your 2 guys that are coming in, that are playing a role. You're also, by the way, opening up a roster spot that now you can bring in another guy. So really, you're bringing in not only those 2, but you might even be able to bring in, whomever, D'Anthony Melton if the Warriors are still dragging their feet. Now you got Melton. Now imagine you'd have Melton, and you'd still have Rui to trade with your first and stuff, but you'd have Melton, Smart, Thybulle, right? Plus Vando and Thybulle and Jake LaRavia and then Robert Williams. I mean, you're in great shape at that point. Right? So again, if you can justify the trade and signing, then you do it. Right? I just don't think Robert Williams alone is enough to justify that. Talking about a guy that just he's as great as he is when he's on the basketball court, is just too unreliable. You can't count on him on a nightly basis. Talk about a guy, 6'9", 6'10", but he has 7'6" wingspan. He's got the size, he has everything that you want from a Lakers standpoint. I get it 100%. But again, you look at the last few seasons. He's played 26 games in the last 2 years. Right? He's played 61 games in the last 3. The most games he's ever played in a season is 61 games. Right? So in the last 3 seasons, he's played as many games as he did the year before that in 2021-2022, in which he played 61 games. 32 games, 29 games, 52 games, 61 games, 35 games, 6 games, 20 games. he's an incredible talent, but the best ability is availability. It's not warranted to give up what you'd have to give up in order to get him by himself. You add in a Thybulle, which Portland should be fine with. They have more than enough guys to add. Right? They're getting a young prospect that they can add that gives them shooting and all that stuff. I think that if you're the Lakers, him playing 20 games and it's not like he was playing 36 minutes a night. You're talking about a guy who's playing 17.6 minutes, so less than 18 minutes a night. Again, when he's in the game, he was a 6-6 guy with 1 assist, a steal, and almost 2 blocks per game in limited minutes in a bench role. Right? The guy can rebound, can defend, do everything. You look at his per 36, it's like, video game numbers. 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and 3.5 blocks a game. Like, if you can get Robert Williams, go get Robert Williams. But I just think, realistically speaking, I think you need to just be patient, right? They're going to want to get something for him at some point, right? And the same thing with the Thybulle. So it might not be something you could do right now, but I do imagine at some point they're not just going to want to lose those guys for nothing. That's where the Lakers come in and make a play. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.